guys, welcome back to A Good Life Farm. So this video is actually going to be a little bit different. I am going to take you to someone else's farm and introduce you to this great family that lives here in my area and show you what they're doing, how they took their property and made something pretty cool, and it's a family affair. So without further ado, let's go to Honeydew Farm. Hey guys, Constance here from A Good Life Farm. So this, I can tell you already, I'm not at home. I'm actually at a nearby farm. There is a lovely family here in Hartselle, Alabama, who invited me to come and check out their home and get to know them and see their beautiful farm where they live. They have what is called a CSA, is that right? And they're going to tell us all about it. And I wanted to bring you guys along and introduce you to them. Hi, so you want to introduce yourselves?
Sure, I'm David Ammett. This is my wife Laura. We're originally from Tennessee, so we've been married 20 years last month. I've been in Alabama for about 21 years, so it's been a while, but we moved down here because of work originally. Lived in the big city of Hartselle I guess we started off in Decatur, then lived in Hartselle for, how long did we live in Hartselle?
13 years.
13 years, yeah. So we've been out here for 6.5 or so.
We've been here 6.5. We've been in Alabama for 20, and we moved out here about 6.5 years ago.
Yeah. So both grew up on family farms. We primarily did cows and a lot of hay. Her farm was pork, a lot of pigs, and now our dad background's calves, and just a lot different from what we do here. But when we moved to Hartselle, we moved into the subdivision, but still had that longing, I guess, to be back on the farm, and actually toyed with the idea of moving back to one of the farms, either her family farm or mine, and we had already just kind of made a pretty good life here, a lot of friends, good church, kids were in school, so decided to stay and kind of compromise and find this place out here that's got 7.5 acres. And you know, started a garden. She's always gardened. We never really had a garden growing up. Tried it one time. I don't think that worked out too well, but they've always had a huge garden, so we've always had a garden. Even when we lived in town, we had a garden. And she slowly has talked me, got me into it. Even talked me into our first chickens when we lived in the subdivision. So that's kind of where I always told her when we lived in town. I said, if we ever have a farm, we're going to call it Honeydew Farm, because it's always honeydew this, honeydew that. I don't know if even people would say that anymore, but that was kind of that's where they do. Yeah, that's where the name came from, Honeydew Farm.
Well, and it was always, I guess, so since I grew up, growing our food, preserving it, and just I always saw a lot of value in my children, one, knowing where their food came from, and two, that we could supply fresh, nutritious food for our family. And it is kind of a game we play now when we sit down for a meal to see if we can get a meal that is all grown on this farm. That's our, we want to look at our plate and go, hey, we did this. This is what we're eating, and we know how it was grown, we know how it was, harvested, and then we cook it as fresh as you can. So that's always been a focus of mine, and ever since, even when we were in the subdivision, I wanted my children to experience that. That's something that, as I grew up, was really embedded in me as a core value, to know those things. And so I've continued that, and then this just gave us the opportunity when we moved here and to start to, and even this really started last year, where we could share that with other people. We looked at the concept of what is a CSA, which is Community Supported Agriculture, probably about 10 years ago, it was a really appealing concept to us. And when we were toying with the thought of going back to Tennessee, we actually went on a farm tour in Tennessee with the co-op or the extension service, and toured some farms in Nashville, the Nashville area, because I just don't know that there's a better way to get the freshest ingredients, the freshest produce to your local community. And so what a community sports agriculture is prior to the season. So we're going to open up soon for the fall this year, but you commit to a share of the harvest for that season. So whether it's 10 weeks or 12 weeks, so everybody that signs up pays up front, and then they get a share of the produce every week. So you're part of the farm. You get to have you get to have kind of your say in what we're growing. You know, what you like, what you don't like, the produce that you get, and then and we get the money in order to be able to supplement, to pay for the seed and
it helps you know what to plant too. When you know how many customers you've got, you know kind of what you need to plant. You're not, going. You always have some extra or a little less, and it also is. It's there's a little bit of risk because there could be, there could be crop failure this year and you don't get a certain thing, but and you may get extra of something, but that's just going into that.
That's something I tell my subscribers a lot when I talk about gardening, how every year there's some sort of challenge and there's going to be something you're going to have to face and figure out, and and it's always going to vary from year to year, and to me that's what makes it fun.
It makes it interesting. It makes the shares, some say it's just like it's like a gift basket of produce, like they just get excited to know what's coming this week in the share.
And it's stuff that they wouldn't go to the grocery store and buy, daikon radish or stuff like that you wouldn't normally buy, but it kind of almost forces you to figure out how to cook it and try it.
Swiss chard was something that was a huge hit in the CSA this year, and I'd never grown or cooked it, and I loved it. I was like, who knew? I like Swiss chard. And so those are, and two, we're learning more about what to do with eggplant this year,
I just made eggplant lasagna last night for dinner. It was very good. It'll be on my website this week.
All right, we'll check it out.
We moved here 6.5 years ago to this farm, and we've done a lot of things, just changes, and in last March is right when COVID, right when the pandemic started, we got the opportunity to buy. Someone was selling out in Killen, Blue Water Creek Farm. They were selling their greenhouses, and we prayed about it, and we felt like that's where God was leading us, because we had this dream for 10 years. I mean, and we never really knew how it was gonna actually work. How could we actually make it function? And so, and Collins Davis, who is with Blue Water Creek Farm, he has kind of mentored us over the last year, and given us, he's done a lot of visits and helped us kind of understand, what we need to do and how we need to really be efficient and effective at growing. But so in March of last year, we set out to start to take down these greenhouses, and we'll look at those in a little while. But there were people betting on us we would never get them back.
Oh no!
I'm not kidding, because you would if it was one piece, it was a million pieces, and we labeled every single piece. And with the quarantine and the kids being doing virtual learning, they were our 16-year-old and our 14-year-old went with him.
Where we'd load up the truck and they'd have their laptops or whatever, and they would work on the way over there, and we'd get as much as we could, a trailer and truckload, and bring it back. And tomorrow we may do the same thing. So we made several trips, and then like I said, it was just it seemed like a million pieces just laying there.
Yes, exactly. And Ryan, our son, he couldn't have put them together without Ryan, because Ryan has an engineering mind, And believe it or not, what he learned in his classes, he used putting these greenhouses up.
Nice.
How to square it.
How to square it.
Stars.
I mean, so just putting practical use to, education that he'd gotten in school, which I thought was pretty amazing too. So in 6 months, they had both greenhouses up, which is amazing. And we were growing. We were growing, and we sold last fall. And so we started in the fall of last year we really only did a trial of about 20 people. And we really got our feet wet feeling about what we really enjoyed growing and what people liked. And we've gotten
what we'll never grow
again. And we did our first full CSA share this spring. And we capped it at 30 people because we wanted to make sure we could supply.
Yeah.
That's our first. So we've gone to the we go to the farmers market, but the first thing is to supply our CSA customers. So we get their shares ready, and then we would go to the farmers market with the excess, which has been fantastic. The Hartselle farmers market, I mean,
it's so pretty.
It's so pretty, and the support we get, with Erin, we couldn't get there on time. Just get there, we couldn't get there by 7. But she was like, "Well, it's okay. I understand y'all got to get that stuff going," and just the support and the flexibility that she's given us.
I really didn't want to do the farmers market. I was like, I don't want to go sit at the farmers market. Let's just do the CSA. But you've got extra, and so we gave it a shot, and it's been, like she said, it's been great. Met so many good people, and the other vendors and just people that come back week after week, and I'm looking for honeydew or whatever, So it's just
it kind of grows the community.
It does. It really does. And they're coming and they want looking for things from us that we and we've gotten help and tips from some of the other farmers. Just all the vendors nobody's there just trying to which we all want to sell our tomatoes, but but anyway, so we did a 12-week season, which was April, May, and June, and then we're taking July and August to be getting ramped up for the fall. So we'll have a 8 to 10-week season starting in September, and with some different crops, but a lot of the same. We really we do. Microgreens, lettuce, mixed baby greens are probably our biggest sellers, and then things to kind of supplement that with like tomatoes, cucumbers, the chard greens, peas. We did so those are like the sugar snap peas where we did those, and they were really delicious, but it's just they took a lot to harvest, and there was and we had a heat wave, and it just killed them. So we said, okay, what do we really want to?
The time it took to get what
little we had,
just not.
And it took that space in our
could have been used for something else.
That people did, eat something else somebody could enjoy. So the spring was a huge success.
So I would deliver on Wednesday. And on Saturday morning, we would all get up and get all the bags together, because most of them were on Saturday. So we would all get up extra early, get everything. I tried to do the lettuce and the greens and most of that morning. What I could pick that morning, I'd pick and wash that morning. Some stuff I could get in advance, but we would get those together. My son would get his truck loaded, and he would take off and deliver those, and we would go to the market.
We all are engaged in this, right? So from the beginning, the kids, we wouldn't want to do it without their involvement. Getting the greenhouses over here, planting, they participate in that. Digging potatoes, not always their favorite. And then getting up early on Saturdays. That's probably not on the 14 to 16-year-olds. Automatic schedule, but they have done it without complaint. And my daughter will help us. She helps harvest. Can we do? Even when we have excess from the farmers market, we try to use it here with pickles or canning tomatoes. I can spaghetti sauce last night. So anyway, our model is kind of we don't want to try to do too much in the beginning, and we wanted to have the spring and the fall and kind of be able to have July and August to just do what we needed to around here.
Kind of a reset.
A reset, exactly. And so if you have 12 weeks in the spring, 10 weeks in the fall, and then, by November, December, you're doing that kind of same reset and then ready for April. And we feel like that's kind of where we want to be and what we want to produce, and we'll just see how it goes, because there are some things that we can grow year round. The microgreens being one of them, which we don't have right now just because we need to work on our greenhouse a little bit to get it for their cool temperature crops, and
it's not good right now in Alabama.
But
the heat is just zaps them. I was watering 3 or 4 times a day, and it's still just not enough.
Right,
So.
and Collins gave us some good ideas, because we, like I said, he's been our mentor and about some things to do. So we're going to try that and try to get started back with those in the next couple of weeks. The beauty of the microgreens are that they are ready in 14 to 16 days.
Yeah.
Some are quicker than that, 10 days. So.
That's amazing.
And they're delicious. And that's what people are coming back for over and over. Our lettuce, the mixed greens, and the microgreens, that's really probably our base crops that kind of build all the rest of the other things that we produce. And we just are, like, the fall will start, we'll probably open up this week the opportunity for people to sign up for the fall, and be able to sign up early, and you commit to that season. As a customer, you commit to getting that produce, and a lot of people pay up front, and they just enjoy getting the
And we also have a website, and we have an online store. So if this is the bag, but if you wanted to add extra cucumbers or squash or whatever, you can get on the online store and add that, and we obviously or a dozen eggs or whatever, we'll put that in with the bag.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's what the our, like I said, our farm model is. And somebody asked us one time, what would be success? I said, well, we view success probably differently than some. We don't necessarily expect to,
This is definitely not a get rich quick.
No.
Or just get rich at all.
Right.
Yeah.
But and like I said, I feel like this is something that was important to me, and important on how we raised our children for the next generation to know how to do this, like to know how to use a pressure cooker, to know how to can and preserve your own food. Those are life skills.
Yes, and very valuable ones.
Yeah.
That money can't buy.
Money can't buy. And the my grandmother and my mother come and help us do corn, and to watch my daughter and my grandmother sit side by side and do that.
She's learned so much just from them, and
right.
It's always been important to Laura for us to sit down. Food's been a big part of our family, just to sit down at the table and have supper together, has always been a big deal. And we have some of her granddaddy made this table.
Nice.
We've had a lot of, we'll just sit here even after we get done eating, and some of our best laughs and stories, and trying to get our kids to tell us what's going on. Sometimes pry that out, but we'll just sit here and the dishes can wait,
Yeah. I grew up that way too. I grew up, we had dinner as a family at the table every night, unless we were out to eat, and then it was as a family, at a restaurant. And I kind of raised my kids that way too. We had family dinner every night, and that is priceless.
It is.
You don't get that time back.
I've
laughed so hard. Like you talk about the laughter.
Right.
One of my kids is just like a natural comedian and would just off the cuff, and I almost choke on my food sometimes, but yeah.
But you can waste that away, you
Right.
know.
And it doesn't
I miss
happen
that.
every night. I mean, you know, there's times, but you know, they play
Oh yeah, I mean
sports
it's
and,
life, real
and
life
other things,
happens.
but
but-
as much as possible, we're gonna sit here. So.
And be engaged with each other in conversation, not you
no
know,
phone.
Face on
no
a phone, yeah.
phones. But if you, we'll be glad to take you around and
Yeah,
show you the
love to.
farm and kind of what we're doing. But like he said, honeydew just came from that was when we actually started. We said we're really gonna do this last year. Like we're really gonna do. He said, "Well, we got to name it Honeydew Farms because
no question.
there's
I mean,
no question."
That's what I just, like I said, I always just kind of kid about that. That was honey do this, honey do that. That's what the name was going to be. So
You're right.
even though we don't grow honeydews,
Yeah.
but,
I did say we
we
need to-
might. We
Yeah.
will eventually, I'm sure. But so this is my son Ryan. He's 16. Starting will be a junior this year in high school. And this is my daughter Elizabeth. She's 14, going on 20, and she'll be a freshman this year. So for the first time, and since elementary school, they'll be in the same school. So, so yeah, they help us a lot, whether they want to or not. They get to help us. Most of the time, they're pretty good about it.
Yeah.
They
Brian, what's
do.
your favorite thing to do?
On the farm?
No.
Probably deliver. I like delivering. I like driving.
Mhm.
So I like doing that.
He likes to drive and he likes to mow. He does like to mow.
I do like
He
It's
does-
peaceful.
yeah.
I love mowing. I think it's like my favorite chore.
Yeah, he's actually
I do
taken
too.
over, and I do too. But you know, it doesn't break my heart when he comes in and says, "I think I need to mow." So he does that. But and Elizabeth, she's our pea picker and sheller and
baker and
baker. She's an aspiring baker, pastry chef.
Nice.
But you know, as long as she can sit there and watch TV and break beans or shell peas.
Multitask.
Yeah, she's pretty good.
Nice.
But outside, we used to do a lot of try to.
Yeah, she's good at.
Yeah, we
she's
picked
good with the
peas.
microgreens.
what was it, like Friday?
And also, you
4
are
rows.
always very good with using the seeder when she does a lot of planting for us, so she can use the seeder really well. Do a good job. Do straight rows, which we like. That first year wasn't so straight. Somebody came and said, well, "Who did those rows? I mean, they're just so crooked." And I said, "Look, if I can get my 10-year-old out here to plant, I'm gonna let her plant."
That's right.
I don't know. Yes, she did. This was our original plot, and we're now using it more longer season crops that are in the ground more than probably 6 or 8 weeks. So the okra, tomatoes that we wanted out here, that's Hickory King corn. We make our own cornmeal with that, so it'll be there until the fall. And we have some peas. We've planted for the fall some winter squash out here. So we're slowly getting landscape fabric and kind of plastic for these longer season crops where you can do drip irrigation. We use organic practices, so we're not certified organic, but where we can, we use organic practices.
Yeah.
And so trying with weed control with but so that, and we have a small just orchard for ourselves out this way. We have a greenhouse inside the greenhouse, which is like a germination kind of greenhouse, and it does great. There's some pictures on our Instagram this fall in the winter where we had all these seedlings when it was snowing. I mean, there was snow everywhere. But they were all, 68 degrees in there.
Yeah,
So
it's crazy how the difference the temperature is in there.
we do, so this is silage tarp, so we use that for where we're resting a bed. We've finished harvesting out of it, and then we're just kind of for weed control. and just, you know, to keep the moisture control as well. So that's what this is a silage tarp on that where we had lettuce. Now then these are our tomatoes, so we do a lean and lower method on our indeterminate tomatoes, which is really pretty interesting. So the determinate varieties we'll do just like a Florida weave, but this lean and lower is
and that's new to us. I mean, we've never done that until we started it last year, but you know, it's not something that we've ever done before. So that's a learning curve for us too. But just going in there and you know, learning how to pick the suckers off right and prune them just right, and then
you're welcome to walk in here if you want to. I don't know.
The yellow one's down there.
Oh yeah, what kind are they?
They're called
Sun gold.
Sun
gold.
That's very good. Sun gold is right. We have, but so we're trying several heirloom varieties. Like this is called an indigo cherry drop, and it's a lot bigger than I actually thought it was going to be, but it's so pretty. Those spools at the top, David will release them, and it'll kind of pull up the stem, I guess you call it. So we trim the
trim it to 1 liter.
Trim it to 1 liter, and then when it reaches the top, you can lower that string, and then what has already had tomatoes on it will just kind of pull, and then they'll just keep growing.
Interesting. I'm just so impressed with your pruning.
Well, like I said, I'm learning, but
I try to keep a lot of tomatoes to one stalk, and I never quite seem to be able to manage to do that.
You literally have to do it almost daily.
You do.
And then of course, you know, you said you clip them with these little clips, and then like she said, when it gets tall enough, you just release it and lower it down, and you can lean it, and they say it'll just continue to. I mean, they'll get. I mean, I've heard 20, 30 feet. You know, you can just let them continue to lean around and almost loop in a circle.
Wow, I've never heard of that. Now I've seen the
Right.
Florida weave, but I've never heard of that.
To lean and lower.
Yeah.
So we're trying it, and that's what a lot of people that we follow, they do that. So we'll see.
No, so the mixed greens, we started growing those last year, and people love them. And Ryan would come home in the afternoon after school and make a salad for his snack, because that was
Good.
it's just
with the lettuce.
it's just the lettuce. It's just the best.
Well, when you grow healthy varieties and just have that good quality stuff.
Oh, so David will always say this is the prettiest garden you never saw, because you know, another one of the organic practices is floating row cover. But
I'm starting to get something to come up.
oh yeah, and that bed will just be beautiful.
And we're not no-till. I mean, we don't, you know, we do use a tiller. I use a tractor with a tiller. I mean, I'm trying to do a little more, I guess, minimum tillage, I guess, more than just no-till. But I haven't seen I know a lot of people think that, you know, you've got to be completely no-till, but I just hadn't seen
Well, to me, there's different methods, and I think it's whatever works best for where you are and what you're trying to do. I don't think there is a right answer or wrong answer.
I agree.
We grow on meat birds, Cornish cross, so we do 50 or so a year just for us, and so we'll raise those from chicks, and 8 to 10 weeks we will you know, I'll feed them out, and then we all dig in, we'll all have our rolls, and we process our own meat chickens.
And that we will probably always only ever do that for ourselves. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, a lot of people ask, you going to sell those? And I don't want to, I'm not trying to get into that. So.
But
I was telling some people the other day about it, and they were like, well, I got to come out and witness that. I said, okay, okay, you
It's a
can
sight.
help us. You can help us with it.
And you can come learn where your food comes from.
That's right.
And that's part of that when we, you know, like she was saying earlier about looking at your plate. You know, everything on that plate came from this little piece of property. You know, so it's pretty neat.
We even made cornmeal.
Yeah.
Did y'all say that?
Yeah. Well, that's what she showed the corn a while ago, and
Make some good
we do a lot
cornbread
of
out
little cornbread, good
Yeah,
cornbread.
good-
She does make some good cornbread.
cornbread.
And Elizabeth,
So how do you mill the corn?
Well, we have my grandfather's old grist mill that is slow. It works pretty slow.
painful, but it works.
It works, but you just run it through that mill and a couple of times, and I sift it, and then I mix it in. You know, I make a little cornmeal mix that we put in our CSA shares. We started putting a few things like that in them, and that was one thing that people loved, asked for more and more, because they said it's the only cornbread we like. So because it's so fresh.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's not like dense, which is what usually, like if you go out to eat and get cornbread, it's real hard and dense.
Yeah, it's just good. And she puts her instructions on there. A lot of people may not know how to make cornbread, so it's like just, you know, just.
Oh,
this is
and
how
it's
you do it.
not dry. That's really the big one, because cornbread is dry.
Dry cornbread is not good.
That's no good.
Now my husband would put it in milk. I don't know if you've ever done that
yes,
for
cornbread
breakfast.
and
Yeah.
milk.
Cornbread
Our
milk.
dads both are big in that, and
Yeah.
I've never got into that.
Nah, it's not my thing. I love cornbread though. But
Oh, I
not-
love cornbread.
Oh, I
Doesn't
love
Papa put it in buttermilk?
buttermilk.
Oh yeah, yep. My mother-in-law always did that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out on that.
What's your thought on it? Cornbread and milk.
I'm good with regular cornbread.
But she'll make it, and that's,
My
you know,
cornbread was handing my milk.
they help us in a lot of, like Elizabeth, she may not always be outside helping us, but she's always participating in something as far as getting supper started. I guess our lifestyle is more of a lifestyle than just a farm, you know, getting supper ready, her have been able to prepare the food, and I'll say this, she takes the most care when she's cutting up anything like a salad, the squash, it all is the same size. I mean, she's just, she cooks with
Detail-oriented.
love. Yes, and that was always what my grandmother did, and she reminds me so much of that.
Aw.
So anyway, like I said, she may not be out here, but she's doing something.
Thank you so much for having me out to your farm and giving me the tour, and I hope all of you enjoyed coming along and meeting this lovely family and seeing what they have going on here. It's really, I think it's kind of the dream that a lot of homesteaders have, is to be able to have their home and their land and their kids involved in it, and actually turn it into a business as well to sustain it.
Right. Well, thank
So-
you for your interest in coming out and sharing our story, I guess. And you know, like I said, just check our Facebook and Instagram page, Honeydew Farm 256. Is that right?
Yep.
And we've got an online store. But more than anything, we just appreciate being able to share what we have here.
Absolutely. So I hope you enjoyed meeting that lovely family. Sharing stories like that is something that I really hope to be able to do more of in the future, and introduce you to other families who are doing some pretty great things, and just sharing simple living and homesteading, farmsteading, and stories like that. So as time goes on, I hope to be able to do that more. So thanks for joining me here again at Honeydew Farm. I'll talk to y'all next time.